Welcome to Sakshi TV's special immigration talk show with attorney Dr. Srinivas Kaveti. I am Preeti Mulbagal, your host for the show. Today we have with us Dr. Kaveti, who is a multifaceted, accomplished attorney. He holds multiple educational degrees, namely Bachelor's of Arts, specializing in English literature, psychology, Eastern and Western philosophy, a gold medalist in LLB, holds an MBA and Master's in Communication and Journalism, also holds an LLM from Australia. Dr. Kaveti is renowned across 4 continents and assists several clients globally in handling litigations in diversified law practices. He also handles pro bono cases. And congratulations, Kaveti Garu, for having 2 new offices in Vijayawada, catering to the Telugu community, and also in Ahmedabad, catering to the Gujarati community, apart from the 14 offices that you hold globally. Dr. Kaveti, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So today's topic is removal and deportation. So we see that there are so many immigrants being deported, and with the laws constantly changing, we have so many issues cropping, and recently with the LA deportation also. So could you give us a little intro and insight on that, and then we will further go into the questions.
First of all, you've taken a very sensitive topic, which is removal and deportation. Why people get removed and deported? What is the meaning of removal and what is the meaning of deportation? This is just an educational talk show. It's not a legal advice. What is a removal? Why people get removed from United States? See, this word is used in the immigration law. For example, what is a removal? Removal means it's a simple English meaning that you will be removed physically from the United States. Why people get removed? For various reasons. For example, if somebody comes on a visitor visa and they're allowed to stay in the country for 6 months or 3 months, whatever the border security guys give you permission to stay, but you overstay, you stay more than that time. That means you violated the immigration law. That means you are a removable alien. Number one. Number two, you've come to study, bachelor's or master's, whatever, and you have completed your degree. And for example, you have committed certain offenses while getting educated, and then you become a removable alien. And number three, for example, if you're a green card holder and you got into a trouble with law, serious offenses, moral turpitude offenses, what they can do, they can cancel your green card and they can remove you. And for example, if people get married and fraudulently they get a green card, they can also be, if they find out that you have committed some fraud on the US government, they will cancel your green card. And there are incidences, they even cancel the citizenship and they remove you. So it's a forceful removal by the government, US government. It's called deportation. Deportation is the word which was used in the law before. Now it is used as a removal proceedings. That is called removal. And there is a forceful removal, and then you can also remove by yourself. For example, recently, a lot of Indian students' visas have been terminated recently, 450. And the immigration said that you can remove yourself. You can self-deport yourself. You can also buy a ticket and go home. And that's called self-deportation. And if you're not going by yourself, there is a legal process. That means the immigration will put you in a removal proceedings and the judge will order and you will be removed from the states. So that's called removal.
So basically, these are the most common legal grounds for removal. Could you explain what they are?
Okay. But for example, if you see, let us say you have come to a US and you've on a visitor visa, you've committed some offense. And that means automatically, because you've committed an offense, that will be a ground for the immigration to cancel your visa. It's called revocation. They will revoke, they will cancel your visa, and they will you are not entitled to be in the country, they can remove you. For example, you're on H-1B visa, and for example, you lost your job. After 90 days, you don't have no job and you don't have any status. You're living in America without any status. And tomorrow you're driving a car, police stops you on a stop sign or any traffic infraction, and they find out that you're overstayed your status or you violated your H-1B, then you can be removed. For example, if you're a student, you're drinking and driving, and the police stops you and they find out that you have committed an offense, and sometimes people have some contraband substance in the car. For example, they have committed shoplifting, things like that, or they have committed some assaults, or they have committed some moral turpitude offenses of prostitution or anything to do with stealing of goods or anything. And if you have assaulted, if you have committed any serious, so the student visa will be cancelled, revoked, and service will be terminated. You'll be sent back. And if you're a green card holder, even if you commit any offenses, for example, husband and wife is there, and husband has hit the wife, domestic violence, serious offenses, you've hit the children, and what happens? Because you have committed moral turpitude offenses, they could cancel your green card and they could send me back. So there are many, many reasons why people will be removed from the country. And one is committing offenses. Two is you violated the law. For example, people come crossing the border. You have come without an inspection, and then you're a removable guy. They could deport you. So it is a process, there's a legal process. So once you come into the country, there is under the US Constitution, you have a procedural due process and you have a substantive due process. What is the meaning of procedural due process? That means before they remove you and under the procedures under the US Constitution, they have to give you a notice and they have to give you a hearing.
So,
That why,
yeah.
you
Sir, we are talking about the removal process, how it usually begins.
Okay. The way it begins is what the immigration does. Once you're detained, detention means once the immigration stops you and arrests you, what will happen? They will, after arresting you, they will give you a notice called notice to appear. That means first they will interview you and they will determine what passport you have, and they will see if you're from India or from any other country. They will see which country you have to be removed, and they will determine and they'll give you a notice to appear. They say that, okay, the immigration officer cannot throw you out of the country. They have to put you before the judge. The judge has to do a removal proceedings, and that is notice is given, and the due process of law, that is called notice to appear. And as I said, due process of law, hearing. You'll go before the judge, immigration judge, and the judge does a hearing. The judge will then, the third thing what you'll have, you as a non-immigrant or an immigrant or anybody forcefully removal or deportation, you have a right of representation. That means under the US Constitution, you have a right to have an attorney. So you can have a right to have a lawyer, and you can go before the judge with a lawyer, and your lawyer and yourself will tell your side of the story. So that's called due process of law. Procedural due process, substantive due process. So this is what happens. That is a procedure before they throw you out.
So could you throw some light on the rights that immigrants have during this removal proceedings?
As I said to you, whether immigrants or non-immigrants, see, when you have a permanent residency green card, you come under the definition of immigrants. For example, somebody is a visitor, somebody is on H-1B, somebody who's on F-1, somebody has filed an asylum, or people have come on religious visas, people have come on artist visas, people have come to, media guys have come to America on I visa, journalism visa. People come to America on different visas, J1 visa, different types of visas they come. So when they come, non-immigrant workers, if they commit anything, they all have same constitutional rights, whether it's an immigrant or a non-immigrant. before they cancel your visa, before they throw you out of the country, even to take away your green card or a citizenship, there is a legal process. So you are given an opportunity. The immigration charges you, and they will give you a notice of appearance, and your lawyer will have the papers. You'll have the papers, and you have certain defenses. For example, you have a wife, citizen wife, or you have a citizen husband, or you have a citizen children, or you have some ties with the country. And then you have certain defenses. For example, your family can sponsor you, your wife can sponsor you, father, mother can sponsor you. There are certain defenses you have. You can go before the judge and file certain papers for you to be not to be removed. And you're a good Samaritan. You're running a church. You're useful in this country. There's a lot of stakes are there. You've been in the country for 10 years. You have American citizen children. You have American parents, American spouse. There are so many factors. Every case is different. You can apply to stop the removal proceedings, to cancel the removal proceedings. It's called cancellation of removal or holding the removal proceedings. So you have certain rights before the court. If you hire some good immigration attorney, the immigration attorneys, there are some corporate immigration attorneys and some immigration litigation attorneys. If you hire them, they will represent you, they will advise you your rights.
Okay. So how long does a typical removal process take from start to finish?
Normally, in good old days, it was taking 10, 15, 20 years also. But now, because of the present administration's policies, they're doing an expedited removal. They're doing ASAP. ICE is arresting and they're removing them right away. So, it could be as early as 15 days to 1 month or even 2, 3 months. So it used to be longest because people were, if the immigration judge denies your motion to remove, cancellation or holding of removal, then people are taking appeals. They prefer appeals, Board of Immigration Appeals. From there, they go to federal court, and from federal court to Supreme Court. Sometimes the litigation would take 15 to 20 years also. But now immigration is doing ASAP. They don't want a present administration's policies. Anybody who violated the law, they don't want them in the country. Either you have violated an immigration law or you violated a criminal law. They don't want you, and they're removing you right away. They're taking the private planes and putting you and then sending you back.
Okay. So I have some questions about defenses and the relief. So what forms of relief are available to fight or cancel a removal order?
As I told you, there are mitigating factors. For example, if you see, let's say a parent got arrested, he's not having status, and he's got an American citizen wife, or he's got 3 or 4 children or American born children. And if the immigration puts you in a removal proceedings, what will happen? His wife can sponsor, his children can sponsor the father, or wife can sponsor saying that, hey, go before the judge and say, hey, I have a family or American citizens under the US Constitution, they can sponsor him. So you can apply for a cancellation of removal or withholding of removal. Why? Because the family has sponsored him for a green card. So things like that. For example, if your immigrant petition is approved and you're in a removal proceedings, you can go to the court and say, hey, and I'm an adjustable alien. My immigrant petition is approved, so please cancel it. So they can, the judges will look at the factors and they will stop. And sometimes people also file asylum applications. For example, if let's say if you're a Israeli citizen or a Palestine citizen, or if you're any citizen from Ukraine or any of these countries, let's say there are some wars. In the past, there were some countries in South America where they were given temporary protected status. For example, if you see Venezuela, the citizens of Venezuelans were given TPS, temporary protection status. Why? The reason is because of the political unrest in Venezuela. There are so many countries where there is a political unrest. There are wars in their country. There are, climatic situations. Sometimes there are, natural calamities. For example, in the past, in Haiti, there were earthquakes and tsunamis, things like that. Under the humanitarian grounds, they were giving temporary protection status. Because of the temporary protection status, their removals have been stopped. And now, because the present administration cancelled many TPS protection for many South American countries, now they're all put on a removal and they'll be asked to leave the country. So when people don't have certain protections from the government, or if you filed any asylum, why people also file asylum for a political threat? If they are thrown out of the country, let us see now, Hindus are there from Bangladesh. A lot of temples have been attacked in Bangladesh after what has happened in Bangladesh, political unrest. So if any Hindus have come to America, let us say some Hare Krishna temple were being attacked, Hare Krishnas were being attacked in Bangladesh, Hindus, and they have come to America. Tomorrow they are put on removal and they can say that, hey, if I go back to Bangladesh, I run a Hindu temple, Krishna temple. If I'm thrown back to Bangladesh, I will be arrested and have a persecution. They can persecute me. So I have a fear of persecution if I go back because of my religious belief. So the governments will look at your country factors, look at your personal factors, and they will say, okay, we'll give you an asylum. And sometimes political reasons, sometimes religious reasons. There are many reasons in asylum. In this short 15, 20 minutes of our TV show, we might not be able to cover a lot of things, but there are so much of information is available and when you Google or ChatGPT or stuff like that. But basically, if you have a political persecution or if you get arrested, not, for example, if you're doing a crime. For example, if you see Kingfisher or Nirav Modi, they came to these countries, they have committed a fraud. They cannot go to the American government or any government and say, oh, give us a political asylum. If I go back, I'll be arrested. No, not such cases. It has to be a real threat. Recently, what we have seen in Telangana, if you see K. Prabhakar Rao, who was IG, he came to United States. And because Telangana government has made him as an accused number one in telephone tap casing with other political leaders. So he was asked by the government. He has gone back. So his asylum application did not go through. So he went back because he was involved in a serious crime in India, in Telangana. So even though he was an IPS officer, he was sent back. He's gone back to India now. So things like that. It has to be a meritorious claim. It cannot be not meritorious claim. So there's so many factors before you file an asylum.
So how long does it usually take from a person applying for an asylum and for them to get a decision?
Normally, in the past, there are cases pending for 15, 20 years. Now, present administration said that they have to be decided right away by doing the credible fear interview right away. They're getting all the appointments in few days and few months. And if you don't satisfy and don't convince the immigration officer, you'll be put in removal and they will send you back. No question of getting work authorization, no question of getting any protection from US government. And if you're applying before the court when you're in a removal, and the judge will make a determination as early as possible. It's taking only a few months now. Before it took years and years, because there are even some clients, they come to us 15 years also, their cases are still pending.
So when the cases are pending, they are still allowed to work?
Yes. When after 6 months of your application, you can apply for a work permit. The asylee, before the asylees are being determined as an asylee, yes, they get a right to work in the country, but they don't have a right to travel overseas, but they can still work. Absolutely, yes. And they can travel in the country, they can travel. They can also work for anybody. They can also start any business. They can buy a house. They can do everything.
Okay. So in case they step out of the country, then they will not be able to get back again.
Absolutely, yes. Because you're making an application to the government saying that you have a threat when you go out of the country. So if you go
Hmm.
out of the country, then that means your application is not bona fide. It's not meritorious.
Right.
So it gets denied, abandoned, and you will
Mhm.
never come back to the country.
Right. So, what is the difference between voluntary departure and forced removal?
Okay. Voluntary departure means the word voluntary, that means you are doing this voluntarily. You are departing the country. That means without the court order, or sometimes without the government forcing you to leave the country, you are leaving on a good faith. You're saying, okay, I'll cooperate with you guys. I don't want the government to spend money on my hearings, and you're spending money on the court hearings, and the immigration police is not after you. You're buying your own ticket, and you're leaving voluntarily. That means
Mhm.
it's a good faith efforts you're showing because you know that you've done something wrong. You're leaving
Mhm.
voluntarily, which is on a
Mhm.
good standing. You can leave
Mhm.
voluntarily. That means you're buying your own ticket and you're leaving. And that is voluntary departure. And deportation or removal is a forceful. And the
Mhm.
governments buy ticket and they will forcefully remove you from the country. They will handcuff you, put you in the plane, they will give it to you to the pilot, and the pilot will arrest you and they'll put you back wherever you are in your own home country. They will surrender you to the police. And deportation is an international crime. It is an offense as against the country. That means once you're deported from US or any country back to your country, that means it's
Mhm.
an international crime as against sovereign. That means you have committed a wrongdoing as against America and as well as against India too, in your home country. That means no time you will get a passport again. You cannot travel to any other country. Your privileges of traveling to any other country will be barred, and your passport will also be impounded. That is the procedure. That means you will never be allowed to get another passport in your country.
Wow. Wow. So, and is there a path to return legally to the US after being removed?
After removal, if you want to come, sometimes what happens, you're removed, and let's say that you've been married to a US citizen or you're married to a green card holder, then your wife or your children become citizens major. Tomorrow they want to sponsor their father, and the children become major and they want to sponsor their father. They want to bring them back again. So you can go to the immigration and ask for a waiver. I said, Kshama Bhiksha. You beg them saying, sorry,
Mhm.
can you please waive us? We want to come back because it is a
Mhm.
constitutional right of the children. They want to bring you back. So you have to ask for the waiver. And waiver is a very cumbersome procedure. Once your waiver comes from the USCIS, and then they can sponsor and bring them back. So it's a long procedure, lengthy procedure, very cumbersome, and very tough also to convince.
Okay. So, how long are we looking at?
Uh, Typically, any waiver takes about 8 months to 1 year, 1.5 year, and then once the waiver is gone through, then the family sponsors them. That takes about 1 or 2 years, and then you have to convince the USCIS, and then once your visa is approved, then when you go to the consulate works under the Department of State, and then you have to also convince the consular officer. It is the discretion of the consular officer whether to give you the visa back or not. It's all discretionary. It's not
Okay.
mandatory. So you're in the mercy
Okay.
of the USCIS. You're in the mercy of Department of State. You're in the mercy of Consular Affairs. And then you have to be clean also. You cannot have any criminal convictions. You cannot have any health problems. And you cannot be a public charge. There are so many things you have to satisfy. It's not that easy once you're thrown out of the country.
Okay. So that was very informative, Dr. Kaveti, about the defenses and relief. So let's move on to some information on immigration court and IC. So, what role does an immigration judge play in the removal decision?
The removal judge, see, as I said to you, substantive due process and procedural due process under the Immigration and Naturalization Act, and as per your human rights, civil liberty, there's so many things. Human being, in America, when they have certain rights, and the only judge has a power to remove you. Immigration officer doesn't have. But what is happening lately with the present administration? ICE is usurping the power of judges and they're removing you because you're a criminal. There are new laws come, and Lakin and Delhi law. In the past, we have done one show in that your channel. If you're charged under the law without any bail, you will be detained and you'll be thrown out of the country. That's a legislation now. And so sometimes, because if you're a serious criminal, or if you're a terrorist, or if you're a serious violator of law, they're throwing you out of the country. But typically, under the due process of law, only the judge has a power to remove you. It has to be judge has to pass a removal order, then you will be removed from the country. So judge plays a very important role. But unfortunately, what is happening now, there are a lot of judge positions in immigration courts are empty now. The present administration has not hired new judges. So there's so much a backlog. There's a clogging of courts. So I don't know how the present administration will handle this because there are less number of judges, more cases are pending. So judges, these are all administrative judges, and it's a judicial process. They play a very important role.
Okay, wow. So, how does ICE decide whom to detain and prioritize for removal?
Well, now because they said anybody who has criminal convictions or those who are serious fugitives, those who have convictions, and those who are from drug cartels, and those who are terrorists, and those who are from terroristic countries, and when they see that you are a national threat, then they're throwing out. That's prioritizing. And lately, when you have seen all this, Los Angeles, what has happened, and a lot of people have the removal orders already, and a lot of people who have violated the law in terms of overstay in the country, or immigration violators, those who have offenses, and those who are committed offenses as against women, offenses as against children, and serious offenses, they're all removing. That's their priority now. And now they're also coming after students. Now they're also coming after H-1Bs, and now they're also coming after green card holders.
Okay. So, are these detained individuals guaranteed legal representation?
Well, as I said to you, yes, under the due process of law and civil liberties and everything, yes, a procedural due process, substantive due process under the US Constitution. They have a right to be represented by an attorney, and the US Constitution says a right of speedy trial, a right of fair trial, and a right to have a lawyer, and notice has to be given, hearing has to be given, done. These are all US constitutional conferred Bill of Rights. Yes, absolutely. And equality of law, equal protection of law. They cannot discriminate you. Yes, all are there in the Constitution and under the Magna Carta in England and under the Constitution of US and Human Rights Declaration of Human Rights as well. Absolutely, yes. But what is happening, because of the present administration policies, it's sometimes we cannot say those things. They are finding other ways. They're seeing but unfortunately, because if you become a national threat to the country, it is a paramount duty of the sovereign of the federal government to even go and arrest and use the national force, national security guards, national guards. If you see, because LA is a sanctuary city. What is a sanctuary city? That means New York is a sanctuary city. That means they don't cooperate with the immigration and custom enforcement. But what is happening under the national security? What they're doing, they're coming and arresting them with the help of local police and with the help of even military, with the help of FBI, with the help of National Guard. They're arresting and executing the federal law. Federal law is supreme than the state law because immigration law is a federal law. And President
Dr.
Trump
Kaveti,
is, yeah.
Sorry, but we are running out of time. So I'm so sorry. I have so many questions to still ask you on this topic, but then I'll have to cut close. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate your time and for all the insightful information. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Have a great
You too.